said, we've got some powerful people that have worked on behalf of Arizona production industry. One of them is a guy who has been kind of quiet for a long time. He is, frankly, you know, he's put together a brilliant space. Every time that we talk, I'm more and more and more and more impressed. And he's actually made me make a promise to him that he won't be pushed into any executive positions with APA for a while, because he is the current AFMC liaison for us. The AFMC is the Arizona Film and Media Coalition, which is the part of this industry that is able to try to effect change at the political level. APA, as a membership organization, we can't do that, but AFMC can. And he took over as the current president. I won't steal any more of his thunder, but I'd like to let him give you an update on what's going on with the AFMC. Please welcome Steve Brain.
Thank you all very much. Some of you may remember me from 22 years ago when I put Fox Animation Studios together here in Phoenix. Then I was here for a number of years and went back to LA. At the time I was running Fox, I was on a state film commission. I was appointed by Governor Symington when we had a film office and a film commission, and we made progress, and we had a lot of business coming into the state at that time. I moved back to LA, and then in 2014 I came back to Arizona and was disappointed to find there was no more film commission, let alone a state film office. Last year, Mike Cachero roped me into joining the APA, and at the same time joining the AFMC. And then 9 months later, he roped me into becoming the president of the AFMC. So over the last little over a year, working on both boards and with some of the connections that I have, I've worked tirelessly along with other board members to reinstate the State Film Office. And we've had numerous meetings with the governor's staff and the governor's chief of staff and the president of the Arizona Commerce Authority. And I'm very proud to say that as of April 1st, we got a film office. It took we went 7 years without one, which was way too long. And in a conversation I had with the governor a little over a year ago, we were standing in the showroom at Harley-Davidson of Scottsdale, and I pointed up into the air and I said, "Look up." And he looked up, and I said, "There's an airplane flying over our head right now with jobs and money flying to New Mexico and Louisiana and Atlanta, and there's no reason in the world why we can't have that money and those jobs." And so he started a sincere dialogue with us about recreating the office. We went through a process of finding who the right candidate would be, and Matthew was chosen to be that person. The AFMC has two major roles. One was to lobby the government to get a film office. The other is to get incentives. And unfortunately, for too long, everybody would say, we need a film office and incentives. And when you say that run-on sentence, all the legislators heard was incentives. So they shut it down, and there's no dialogue about anything. And with the film office, it was not created through the legislature. It was created through an act of the governor. Now, the next phase for us is to get incentives. And that's not going to be easy, but we will get there. We're probably looking at, for the type of incentives that most other states have, it's going to probably be a 2-year window before we have those. Matthew has a number of ideas that he will talk about and how we can present incentives that are usable by the industry now. The AFMC for the next year will, and after that, will continue to pursue opportunities to craft legislation, working now with the governor's office and with the state film commissioner to put before the legislature legislation that would give incentives that the state needs for the film industry. But we want to do it the right way. We don't want to just jam a bill down the legislature's throat and say, here's what we want, and then not have, as has happened in the past, have no sponsors and nobody wants to vote for it, and it's dead on arrival. I think taking 2 or 3 years off There's a cooling off period, and so at the time that we're ready to present a bill, it'll be the right bill. There'll be new legislators in place. We as an industry, though, during the next 2 years, have to educate legislators. We have to invite them to the sets. We have to invite them out when we're shooting commercials. We have to invite them out when we're shooting TV shows. We have to invite them out when we're shooting movies, so they understand firsthand what this industry is. If we're not bricks and mortar, it's hard for them to understand what we're all about. So, I ask everybody to help over the next 2 years as we try to educate the legislature and the government about what incentives are, what the industry is, so that when we finally present a bill to the legislature, it will get through. We used to have bills that got through. I co-wrote legislation in 1997 that granted exemption from sales and use taxes for any equipment purchased for use in the studio. And that sailed through the legislature. And today that would be a hard sell. But I think it's because of who has been in the legislature, and a lot of those people are now out. So I think ahead of us, if we do it right, we have a shot at getting the incentives again. So that's the look ahead.
A few years ago, we had a situation where, frankly, some of us, and I use that word collectively, we're getting kind of beat up. And fortunately, some of us said, nah, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take this anymore. Did you guys actually say that or no? One of the people who's behind that is a guy that's just wonderful and takes care of a lot of great things for the IATSE here in town. Basically, they do the sports broadcast, the live broadcast, all the stuff you see on television that has anything to do with Phoenix sports for the most part. IATSE Local 748 probably has either been involved in or should be involved in. So I'd like to take a moment of personal privilege and ask John James to kind of just give you a quick update on what's happening with 748 and where things are this year. Thank you.
Some of you may recognize me from the beginning of APA. 30 years ago, I used to do film video assist when motion picture was the format of the time, and commercials and movies and all kinds of exciting, wonderful things were being done here. And I got into the business because of Film House and Film Producers Warehouse, Ray Wyatt, Burke Rind. They gave me such an interest. I thought I'd have to go to California to make a living in this business, and they said, no, you can do it here. Those days have come and gone, and I hope with your efforts, Mr. Brain, that we will be able to start attracting more of that business back. But in the meantime, I had to make a living and fell into doing sports television and ended up becoming one of the founders of IATSE 748, which is an IATSE union for sports broadcasting, multi-camera sports broadcasting. Our domain is Arizona. And we have approximately 70 members who are actually a part of our union. We represent a pool of around 135 freelancers who work on Diamondbacks, Coyotes, Phoenix Suns, GCU, any kind of sports-related broadcast event. Our union is supposed to make sure everybody gets their fair trade, their fair shake, a retirement plan, a health care plan, and so forth. We've come a long way in those years. A few months ago, Don was kind enough to come visit our union meeting. We have one every month, and make the pitch to these individuals to say, APA can help you get work outside of doing sports. All of them have skills that can be applied in AV and can help them in multi-camera situations. And a lot of those folks went, but I'm so tired anyway. But I said, if you want to make more money, right now it's kind of slow for us at this moment. But we made the pitch, and I'm constantly reminding my members to join APA because they can always say no to the work. But usually when they call you, you go, I'm going to make it. So I thank you for the chance to come visit here. We support. The only thing I'd really like to point out is our industry has kind of divided up. We have the group of people who do live broadcast sports, and we know about Randy and all those fellows and people who do these wonderful things with one camera and single setups and so forth. But the disciplines are the same. We may end up filling 3 hours. I mean, Lawrence of Arabia took 6 years to shoot. We fill that same amount of screen time every day live, and it's one of the last things that is still done live on the air. And that is a certain kind of excitement that you never get used to. Although I've been doing it so long now that when I come home, my wife goes, "Who did you work for today?" And I go, "I don't know." "Well, who won?" I go, "It was a Suns game. Here, where's your iPhone?" It's gotten to that point. But the impact of that particular community is at least a payroll of $500 million a year across the board for Phoenix. That includes ESPN shows. A lot of our people freelance for ESPN. None of us work for any of the companies. We're all hired and fired for that short time. And the union helps make sure that everyone gets a fair shake, not only for labor, but also for management. We work together with our management to make things run well. So I'm not really sure why we're here, but thank you for letting us come and visit. And I appreciate APA in a way that you have no idea, because you folks get the most fun jobs. Thank you.